So, first thing I want to bring up is a little bit of conservative tomfoolery. It's always nice to, because a lot of the stuff we talk about, especially when you're a political junkie like me, there's a lot of bad news out there in the world, right? Lots of depressing stuff happening everywhere. Animals going extinct, national disasters, natural disasters all over the place, not just natural, in other countries too, not just our country, things like tornadoes killing dozens of people, huge floods, things like that, creeping political corruption and fascists taking over the country, that kind of thing. And it can get a little overwhelming. So it's good sometimes to kind of kick back and, you know, cover something funny. So here's the thing that I saw, which I thought may tickle your bottom there. The conservatives are losing their minds over Bud Light. The beer, Bud Light. What is causing the conservatives to go so super crazy over Bud Light? It's because they made the mistake of being trans inclusive. Right? So here's the video that I want to share with you guys here. This is on Twitter. Let me just pause that, set it back to normal, move that over here, turn on my main window. We can make this a little bit bigger. I doubt that this is going to matter. But this is Dylan Mulvaney, right? Who is a trans woman and an actress. And Dylan Mulvaney has been doing sort of a video blog, video diary kind of thing, where she is documenting her experience every day as she transitions, right? So you can go back through her TikTok or whatever, and you can see each day as it goes on and on and on. And I checked it out. I mean, I really didn't know who this person was. Really, I've heard the name. I heard her name before, but I didn't really know much about her. And I checked out her TikTok, and it's it'll be like her like putting on makeup or her like getting dressed or her going outside and talking about stuff and just like a video a day, and she's gotten a giant following. So this is the original video of Dylan Mulvaney here. Let's turn that up and let's hear what she has to say.
Hi. Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us. So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly which sport either. Is it football? Is that March Madness? I mean, I never really follow football so much. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't see why this would be so controversial so far. All it is her just cracking a beer and drinking it, right? I mean, everybody loves beer. Continuing.
This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Love ya! Cheers! Go team! Whatever team you love, I love too. Okay.
Right.
Love ya. Okay. Break a leg. Woo!
Spoken like someone who truly does not give a shit about sports. And I can understand that because I am also another person who doesn't really give a shit about sports like at all. Right. And I can I can kind of identify with this video because you ever have a conversation with someone who's like really into football, or in the United States here, I know for my foreign users viewers, where they think football is, they call soccer football, but here in the United States we have American football, which is basically rugby, but people put on body armor. Right? And it's very incredibly complicated. And one thing about being an American male is that everyone just assumes you automatically know the rules to football. Like, They just assume you know what the game is. They assume you know all the rules and all that. And it's a complicated game. It doesn't really make a lot of sense unless you actually know what's going on. Like, it's hard to follow. You know what I mean? Like, why are these guys taking 3 hours to like just go 5 feet and all this other crap? You know, and there's all these weird numbers and shit. First and 10. You know, second and fourth and 11th and 17th. Like all this stuff that you don't get. And this is the line of scrimmage, and he just did a whatever. Like, I mean, as you can tell, I'm like a super total football expert here. So I can understand that, that last little bit at the end where she's like, yeah, whatever team you like, I like too. Go football. It's like, yeah, I have no idea who any of the teams are myself or even what the rules are or like I don't know. Football's fucking boring. Sorry. It's just boring as hell. Like I kind of like any other sport. Like I prefer baseball even. Like even watching baseball is like kind of boring when you're watching on TV, but when you like go to a stadium, it's not so bad. Like but football just doesn't I don't know. But anyway, I could totally understand that. So that was the video. A little innocent video, and apparently they sent her a can with her face on it. You know, and it was just like a one-off sort of thing. Like they're not selling cans with Dylan Mulvaney's face on them, right? But they just sent her one as like a collector kind of thing, as a special, as part of the promotion they're doing with her. Her can with a face on it, and so she shows it off in one of her Instagram videos or whatever. And that's the video. So let's kind of see, the reaction from the right wing over this video. Let's go ahead and get rid of this for now. And I want to show you guys how exactly people have reacted. Right. So this guy was actually that post that I just put was from Ollie London, right? But we'll come back to Ollie London in a minute. But here is probably the most famous reaction to that so far. This is Kid Rock. Let's go ahead and open that back up. Kid Rock here. Let's go ahead and see what he has to say about Bud Light.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible.
Fucking moron.
Fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
I mean, I never really got this stuff. Like, oh, so first off, okay. First off, that's a fully automatic machine gun, right? Aren't those things illegal? Like, I thought fully automatic, like, assault rifles, like machine guns were, like, banned at a federal level. Is that true? I mean, because if they're not, like, I mean, what is he in Texas or some shit? Are they legal in Texas or whatever? Because I thought that was, like, always illegal. Like, I thought people weren't allowed to own fully automatic guns like that. So, I don't know. Am I wrong there? I mean, what the fuck is he doing with one of those things? Right? Like, that's the first thing, right? Shouldn't fucking even have that to begin with. Second thing, I always love how, like, these whenever conservatives get mad, they have to destroy stuff. You know, like they always go nuts and like burn whatever it is. Like you remember how people were buying like Nike shoes and they were burning them, or they were buying Keurigs and they were smashing them. And it's like, dude, if you're trying to like boycott a company, like buying their product is sort of the opposite of what a boycott is. Like, here's another guy here. This is another pissed off dude who is really angry at. Let me go ahead and open this up for you guys here. This is a pissed off guy. Let's make this super big. He is mad at Bud Light. taking all of... I guess he has his own fridge in his garage here.
You might want to figure out if you want to do the same.
Right. Nice truck. That thing's... Wow. Is that... Why would you own a truck? Wait, look at that truck. Look at that ridiculous, like, gigantic monster truck fucking redneck mobile. Like, what's the point of this thing? Like, are you gonna go, like, crush some cars on the freeway with that? Like, are you gonna go do a tractor pull after work here? Anyway, that's kind of most stupid ass redneck shit. Moving on. It's snowing outside. You shouldn't be drinking beer in the snow anyway. It's cold. I mean, this is supposed to make me not want to drink Bud Light. So just some dude, some rich dude. First off, like, this guy's loaded. First off, like, look at the size of this guy's garage. Like, so some fucking rich guy throwing out all of his beer is supposed to make me, like, not want to drink beer. Like, goddamn, this dude's loaded. Like, look at that. Look at that. All right, he's got a giant truck outside. He has this fucking Hummer. Massive fucking Hummer. He's got whatever the fuck this thing is, some canoe or some shit. Giant RV. Do you think he got enough vehicles in here, man? He's got like a little tiny go-kart looking thing. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he doesn't have enough vehicles. I think he needs like a lunar like excursion module and a submarine. Right? Maybe a time machine too and a stealth bomber. See if you can jam all that shit in your garage too, man. Seriously, what the fuck?
Next stop.
Wait, you have more? I thought you emptied it all out. Alright, here's the thing that gets me about this video. So he's dumping out all of this beer. Is he trying to make us think that he just had all of this beer in his thing, like, before this? Like, you really think he didn't go buy all that beer just so that he could throw it all away in this video? Like who the hell keeps, like, you know...
Like I said, if you don't know, you should probably Google it.
I mean, who the hell keeps, like, fucking, like, you know, 72 cans of fucking Bud Light just in their, like, private garage? Like, oh, I just drink... I mean, does this guy really drink that much beer? Like, I don't know. That dude looks pretty fucking well off. He looks pretty rich. Something's telling me that guy isn't much of a Bud Light drinker to begin with. Like, Chris Rock, I can understand. Chris Rock probably drinks Bud Light like it's water. You know, Chris Rock is like what happens when rednecks win the lottery. Right? But that dude looks like the actual owner of the, you know, he looks like he's like, you know, the owner of the factory or whatever that Chris Rock works at. Right? Like, he looks like, you know, the average Bud Light drinker. He looks like their boss. Like, why does that guy have like 50 cans of Bud Light to begin with? And that's the other thing, is that he had to buy all of that. Like, if you want me to, you know, if you're so angry that you want to go vandalize somebody's products, like, why are you buying this shit first? Like, I mean, if you went to the store and smashed up a display of Bud Light or something, then that would give you more of an anarchist cred than, like, buying it and destroying your own property, because you're just giving the company money. Like, the whole idea behind a boycott is that you're supposed to deprive the company that you disagree with of money. Is that not correct? Anyway, I mentioned Ollie London earlier because Ollie London was the one who, that video that I went to, he was the one that posted that out. Let me go ahead and open up this tweet here from Ollie London again. Ollie London seems to have jumped onto the conservative grifter bandwagon, and he's posting all kinds of crap here about Dylan Mulvaney and all that other thing. Ollie London: woke companies like Bud Light and Nike will continue to push real women aside in order to fulfill their diversity and equity quotas. Yeah, quota, right, okay. The only way they will listen is if their profits tumble. Grammy-winning singer Travis whatever the fuck this guy's name is, Twit, has stood up for all women by removing Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch parent company beverages from his tour. So, here's the thing, folks, right? You are free to not buy whatever you don't want to buy, right? If you don't want to buy Bud Light, then just don't buy Bud Light. But what has Bud Light done that's so egregious that they've pissed you off so much? Like, all they've done is market towards another demographic. See, Bud Light realized this is why, here's the thing, right? Because people talk about woke companies and all that and how it's just pandering, and sometimes it is. Sometimes you see, like, oh, Skittles, here's our non-rainbow white Skittles that you can buy because everybody's equal, shit like that. And it's pandering. And then in real life, their policies don't really do much to promote equality or whatever, or they support Republicans, shit like that. That's definitely true. That's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing where corporations will try to paint themselves in a certain light in order to appear to be more progressive than they actually are. Right? But why are they doing that in the first place? It's because they realize that LGBTQ people have money. They have money, and they want to get that money. Right? And they realize that, the kids today, right, the young ones, the generation Ys and Zs and whatever comes after that, they realize that those people are like the most inclusive generation ever. They are not afraid of expressing themselves, their sexuality and their gender the way that they see fit. And they realize that there's no going back. It is not going to go back to the way that it was back in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. It's not going back to that, right? It will never go back to that. And if you don't jump in and get with the program, people are going to leave you behind. That's essentially capitalism in a nutshell, right? They realize that the money is where the young people are, because in not so much time at all, the young people will be the old people, right? Time passes fast, and 10, 20 years will be over before you know it. And if you don't secure this demographic, if you have a product, and if you don't do anything to reach out to your demographic, then they will not buy your product. Some other company will. That's the thing. If Anheuser-Busch doesn't reach out to the LGBTQ people, then some other company will, and they'll get all the money. And that's what they realize. So it's really has very little to do with Anheuser-Busch wanting to promote trans rights, and everything to do with Anheuser-Busch wanting to make money, right? And they realize that more people are, in a few years, if not now, then very, very soon, more people will be on board with trans rights than will be against it. And no matter all the laws that are getting passed, all the laws you're seeing all over the country, restricting trans rights, each one of those is just making it worse for them. That is for the anti-trans people. Every time they pass a law saying that trans girls can't, let's go ahead and turn this off. Well, actually, I want to talk a little bit more about this, but every time they pass a law saying that trans women, for example, can't compete in sports, or they're gonna block gender affirmative care for minors or something like that. Every time one of those laws get passed, it turns more people against the bigots, right? That's what happens when you try to take something away from people that they want. Support for that thing just goes up and up and up, and it doesn't matter if it's alcohol, like prohibition. It doesn't matter if it's marijuana. It doesn't matter if it's TikTok. If you're going to take away TikTok, more and more people are going to want to be on it. It doesn't matter if it's your rights, if your civil rights. Suddenly, people don't notice they have civil rights until you take them away, right? So now everybody's going to be up in arms over it, and that's what's happening, because they're taking away the civil rights of trans people. They're trying to use it. I think they're trying to use it as a wedge in order to reverse the Civil Rights Act, but that's another discussion. So it's not that's the thing, is that it's not going back. The anti-trans people, the anti-LGBTQ people, the bigots who are trying to enact a slow genocide through force of law in red states are ultimately going to fail, because that's the way it's gone. Every civil rights have never been, that's the way it's gone. You get them, and then people fight like hell to keep them. I mean, that's what we saw with, the Jim Crow era with black people trying to get their rights. That's what we saw with gay rights, gay marriage, things like that. And now we're on to, the LGBTQ, the greater LGBTQ community, starting with trans people, right? It's not going to go back. So these companies realize this. They know this. They're smart, right? And they want that money. I think it's a win-win because, trans people get affirmative representation in media. Anheuser-Busch gets the money. Everybody wins, right? I mean, in that, that regard there. So, I mean, yeah, it's capitalism, it's exploitive, blah, 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 blah. But, that's the world we live in, folks, right? So why am I bringing Ollie London up? So if you remember Ollie London was a kind of controversial figure. He was somebody who wanted to make himself a member of the Korean group BTS. And to that regard, Ollie London started getting surgery to make him look more Korean. And if you look at him, it failed. Just look at his face there. Ollie London does not look Korean at all. Sorry. Didn't work. Right? When I see Ollie London's face, I don't see a Korean Asian person that even looks slightly Asian. It doesn't look like that at all. In fact, I think the surgery on this eye might have been a little messed up because it doesn't match that eye. So anyway, that was a big thing a few years ago when Ollie London sort of kind of hit the scene and everybody was like, oh, there's a transracialism and all that, And anyway, Ollie London has seemingly jumped on the conservative grifter bandwagon. So that was this post here that, now he's talking shit about Dylan Mulvaney here. He's talking crap about, is that Dylan Mulvaney? Is that, I'm not dead naming Dylan Mulvaney, am I? I hope not. Because hang on a second. Because if I am, I apologize. Do you want Mulvaney dead name? I guess she still goes by Dylan. Okay, well that's good. So, all right. Well, I'm glad that I haven't been dead naming her this whole time. Anyway, more bullshit from Ollie London. Here's another tweet from this guy talking about. Here we go. This is another one from Ollie London. Riley Gaines is an all-American hero. This is the kind of person kids should be looking up to instead of Dylan Mulvaney. This is who should be reading books and delivering empowering speeches to kids in schools instead of drag story hours. What's going on here? So this person here is Riley Gaines. She is a swimmer who, what her deal was is that roughly a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, in February of 2022, she was at some swim meet somewhere, and she came in fifth place. And the thing is that she tied for fifth place, and the person she tied with happened to be a trans woman. And however, the thing is that the trans woman that she tied with actually beat her, came in like 100th of a second before her, but it was close enough where they just called it fifth place, right? And the trophy went home with the person who actually beat her, the trans woman who actually beat her, right? Because she came in before, so the trophy went to the person who actually won fifth place, right? And Riley Gaines got incredibly butthurt over that, like extremely butthurt, because she didn't get a trophy. And then they said, okay, well, you can take pictures, but here's the sixth place trophy. You can take pictures with that if you want. And then they sent her a trophy. They mailed her one, but they only had one trophy. Well, the trophy went to the person who came in before, the person who actually won, right? And Riley Gaines managed to turn that butthurtness into a career as a conservative, like influencer and talker. And now Riley Gaines goes around and gives speeches for like 10 grand a pop, $20,000, $30,000 a pop. Right. That's what she does as a trans, she's like a TERF person, even though I don't even think that she's actually feminist. I think she's just a bigot. Right. And the thing about Riley Gaines is that she's like a rising star. Like she was a guest of a senator at the fucking State of the Union this year. She spoke at fucking CPAC. Like all of this stuff. So they're definitely like utilizing her story, and she's profiting greatly off of it, right? What's the story here? Well, these photos, what happened was that they were at a library. So what's going on is she's going around, and Riley Gaines is touring with fucking what's his name? The God damn it, what the fuck is his name? The guy from Growing Pains, Kirk Cameron. She's touring around the country with Kirk Cameron and a couple of other like anti-trans people, like turfy bitches, right? And they're going to libraries and stuff. We actually did this. We mentioned this in a stream a few weeks ago, right? They're going to libraries and promoting Kirk Cameron's book, which is he wrote some children's book about how you should always be a Christian, right? And fear everything that isn't Christian, essentially, right? And people are, pushing back because these are a bunch of like bigoted assholes, right? These are anti-trans bigoted pieces of garbage. And so trans activists are showing up and like shouting them down and protesting because they have every right to. I mean, if the fucking Proud Boys are going to come out and protest when somebody does a drag queen story hour, then it's perfectly acceptable for the trans, rights activist people to come out and protest these motherfuckers, right? And apparently the story is that somebody punched her in the face. And there's a video of it, and all it is the video is her being dragged away by cops. And it doesn't actually show anybody punching her in the face. It doesn't actually show the cops arresting anybody. If there is a video of the cops arresting someone, please let me know. But here's the thing: is like, do I believe it? I don't know, maybe, right? But generally, trans rights activists are not violent. They're loud. They obstruct things. They disrupt things. But are they violent? Usually not. Usually, you don't have to worry about a bunch of trans rights activists beating the shit out of you for no reason. I mean, unless you start swinging first, unless a bunch of Proud Boys come up and then start fighting or something. That's one thing, right? But, that's not a thing. Like, these people, trans women are usually not violent. They don't usually go and beat the crap out of people, And the right wing is trying to spin it as trans women are violent killers because we had that mass shooting a few weeks ago in Tennessee, right? Which we'll come to in a minute. There was that mass shooting that was perpetrated by a trans man. So they're trying to spin that one time, the one time that there was an actual shooting, they're trying to spin that into saying that all the trans people are violent psychopaths with mental problems. And it's just fucking not true. It's like not true at all. So anyway, that's fucking Ollie London. More bullshit from Ollie London here. Actually, no, we already saw. Here's the thing about Ollie London, right? Let me go ahead and turn this shit off, right? Fuck Ollie London. Here's the thing about Ollie London, right? He's obviously gay, right? If you've ever seen Ollie London talk, obviously gay, right? Blatantly gay. Why would Ollie London side with the conservatives? Right? Like, and this is the thing. This is what we need to understand, right? As people on the left kind of don't really get this sometimes. They think that just because you align with a certain group, that means you're automatically part of them, right? Same thing, the right wing often does this as well. The right wing is is very notorious for doing this, for assuming that everybody, for example, who's a trans person is automatically a flaming liberal, you know, an evil liberal or a communist or some shit like that, right? Which, remember, on the right wing, all of these terms are interchangeable, right? Liberal, communist, authoritarian, those are all the same things on the right wing. They make no distinction between any of that. Democrat, liberal, communist, right? All the same shit, right? But, that's the thing, is that this kind of shows, it's like, well, why would somebody like Ollie London like throw his hat in the ring with people who obviously not only don't like him, but if given the opportunity, would probably do him egregious bodily harm, right? Why is he doing that? And it's because, first off, money, right? That's the real reason why, is because of money. Because remember, if you remember the stories about Ollie London, apparently he spent somewhere upwards of $100,000 getting his surgeries that failed horribly and did not make him look like a member of BTS at all. Did not make him look like even like an Asian person in the slightest, right? So apparently Ollie London is hurting for cash. That could be one motive. I mean, plastic surgery is not cheap. Although, I don't know how the hell he could afford all of that to begin with. Maybe he's already independently wealthy. But it's for the money. Somebody, he decided that, hey, these people are going to pay me a shitload of money. I'll get a shitload of followers if I just say this vile stuff. And, maybe he was a transphobe to begin with. Maybe he was maybe he already didn't like trans people. That's the other thing, is just because somebody's gay doesn't mean that they align with the, aligned with the politics of the greater LGBTQ community. And that's why you see things like, people like Blair White, for example, who's a trans person who will talk shit about trans people and like stuff like that. Like there's a tweet that Blair White did recently where she said like, oh, if you see a bulge in a liberal woman, it's a penis, and then if you see a bulge in a conservative woman, it's a firearm or some shit like that. And it's like, which is equally ridiculous because she never got bottom surgery. So, Blair White has a penis, right? She never got bottom surgery. So she's posting this thing making fun of trans women when it's like, that's exactly what you are. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Like, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. And that's the thing. It's like, well, why would, and even Blair White, continuing with that example, right? Blair White apparently gets death threats on a daily basis, gets lots of grief, lots of trolls from people in her audience, from other conservative types, right? The people that she caters to are like, constantly sending her threats and like insulting her and calling her calling her a degenerate and all this other crap. And these are the people that she makes her money from. These are her followers to begin with, right? And it makes you think like, well, wouldn't you be able to see, like if you were a trans person, right, and you were conservative, because you can just be a normal conservative and also be a trans person. Like that's the thing we got to remember, is that they're not just because you're not a monolith. You don't automatically believe anything just because of your gender expression or your sexual orientation or anything like that, right? But you would think that somebody would see the way the wind's blowing and adjust themselves accordingly. And that's the mystery. I mean, personally, I don't understand it. I don't understand how anyone who's not, like a cis, like, white person would ever vote Republican. I don't understand that, because these are, or would ever be conservative, because these are people who are, make it no secret that they, if given the chance, would ship you off in a fucking cattle car, right? Off to a concentration camp. They make no mistake about that. And that's the thing. It's like the attraction there, folks, I think a lot of it is money. And also I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that most people are just not politically educated and not informed on what's going on. And that includes gay people, that includes trans people, you know. That includes, I mean, and the other thing I think too is that, well, you know, the greater American culture, right, which we're all a part of, it looks very negatively on people who don't toe the line when it comes to you know, traditional expressions of sexuality and gender. So anybody, they're like, in you know, in American culture, there's not a lot of room for gay people, for example. There's not a lot of room for, there's like zero room for trans people. It's, you know, it's still a very new thing on the American consciousness. And if you were to go back even just 30 years, a lot of the bigotry that you see was just par for the course. I mean, I can tell you that, you know, just growing up in this country, you know, homophobia, for example, was widely, hugely accepted. Not just in popular culture. I mean, you see comedians making gay jokes all the time, stuff like that, but just in everyday life. That just, you know, I remember one time, for example, I used to work at a Starbucks. This was like, God, 20 years ago at this point. And one time I'm standing there, and I think I was cleaning something or whatever, and I was standing there talking to somebody, and I had my hand on my hip, right? One time. And a guy comes up to me, random old dude, and said, "Hey, don't stand like that." Right? He couldn't have been more than 55. Older guy. I mean, at the time I was like in my early 20s. Like, you know, I was like 21 or some shit. And yeah, he goes, "Hey, don't stand like that with your hand on your hip." I was like, "What?" And I was just standing with my hand on my hip like that. So don't stand like that. You know, and I thought about it. I'm like, is it because women stand like this? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But, you know, of course I'm at work, so I'm not going to cause any trouble. So I was like, okay. And I just left and went and did some more work. But just thinking about, you know, that kind of got me. I was like, what the fuck are you, like, just the way I was standing was objectionable to this guy. The smallest fucking thing. Like, that's what it was like in this country in the past. Just the smallest expression of that would, like, get your ass kicked. Like, people would do you physical bodily harm, you know. Now, it's not like that in Los Angeles, I can tell you that, right? Anymore. I mean, it used to be. One time, another time, so there's another story. Remember, I'm not gay, I'm not trans, I'm not any, I'm a cis, you know, cis male, right? So, one time, I'm walking down the street, and I was in West Hollywood with my brother, right? And we used to go down there because we had a friend named Ernie, and Ernie had a bisexual girlfriend who dumped him. And so he was like obsessed with trying to find another bisexual girlfriend. And it was funny because we would go to these like lesbian coffee houses, and you know, you'd walk in and we'd be the only men there, and he would just hit on women and they would just turn him down over and over and over. It was hilarious. It was the funniest shit ever. Right? Trying to hit, you know, I guess he had a type. What can I say? He was looking for you know. Anyway, so we're there just walking around, and you know, West Hollywood's actually kind of awesome. If you ever in Los Angeles on Halloween, go to West Hollywood. It's absolutely insane. They block off the whole street. You know, they have it's like a de facto parade, and you know, guys walking around in chains. It's awesome. Anyhow, so yeah, me and my brother were just walking down the street, minding our own business, middle of the day in West Hollywood, and cars would drive by and scream out at us, calling us, you know, the F slur and all that stuff, which I don't think I'm allowed to say on Twitch, right? I was about to say it, but I don't think I can. You know, calling us names, you know. And I'm just thinking it, like, at first it's funny. The first time it happens, you're like, oh, that's funny. Those guys don't know what they're doing. Ha ha ha, right? Like, the 15th time that happens, like, I was screaming back, like, ready to fucking fight people. Like, literally, I remember this. Like, we were walking around, and like 15 times, guys would drive by screaming at us, calling us names, you know, fucking, you know, calling us F slur, right? And I remember screaming back more than once, like, fuck you, like, like, right, like, get out of your car, asshole, come over here. Like, I remember saying that because, you know, fuck those guys, right? Gonna, like, and I can only imagine if that was, like, a thing that every day, everywhere you went, all the time, that happened, right? I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine, like, going to a grocery store or something and having people, like, you know, just be blatantly in your face fucking with you like that, and people refusing to serve you, and I can only imagine, like, well, trying to get a job. Like, you know, how many times would you go to get a job and get turned down? And of course they don't officially say it's because you're gay or whatever, but you know that's the reason why, right? Like, and just having to, like, you know, live, you know, so what do you do? What do? You go into the closet, right? So that nobody knows or whatever, and you suffer silently. And I can only imagine how shitty that must have been for millions of people for decades and decades and decades. And now they're finally trying to, like, live the way they want to live because they're sick of this shit. And this is the kind of backlash they get. To the point where all it takes is a company sponsoring a trans person for, like, a huge fucking backlash where people are machine gunning the product. Like, can you imagine that shit? And, you know, that's the thing. It's like, like I said, I'm a cis person. I'm not gay, right? But if I was, I'd be extremely pissed off. Right? I'd be very pissed off if I was. I'd be one of those militant people out there, like, you know, going to protests and you know, doing not so nice things to people like Riley Gaines, probably. You know, cause fuck her, right? And she deserves every fucking little bit of hate that she got at that little thing. It's I was gonna show some video of it, but I'll leave that for you guys to look up yourselves. She got exactly what she deserved. But here's the thing about it: no one was hitting her, no one was throwing shit at her, nobody was, you know, nobody was threatening to fucking kill her. None of that stuff happened. Get the fuck out of my face. So anyway, I don't know. It's like, you know, that's the thing. It's like I can understand. I can't relate so much because I've never truly experienced that kind of bigotry, except for these little anecdotes I'm giving you. I mean, but I can kind of, I mean, if you just sort of think about that, like, if I could just extrapolate my own experience and then try to imagine what it must be like to live like that on a daily basis, it must be fucking horrible. Absolutely fucking horrible. Like, and I don't get how anybody could put up with that shit for so long. I mean, I really truly can't. It would drive me fucking nuts. Anyway, so yeah, fuck Kid Rock, fuck Ollie London. Please, everybody go out, buy Bud Light. I mean, I know it's just like, you know, slightly brown, you know, or maybe even yellow, disgusting piss water, but fuck them, at least they're doing the right thing there. Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.